Yeah, sure, no worries. Okay, well, thank you so much for being here and giving me the opportunity to speak. This year, 2013, is the year of the centenary for the University of Western Australia. It was a centenary year last year as well, and last year it was 100 years since the first staff were hired at the university. And it is 100 years since the first students have started studying here. So, can I be heard okay?
Yeah, you're
Yes.
clear.
Yes.
Fine.
Okay, cool. So anyway, we have two major challenges this year to launch. We've already launched the art challenge, and there's a theme of reflections for the art challenge. Um, and that one launched on the 1st of February. We already have 4 or 5 artworks come in for it. Kip and Vertlantis is one of the sponsors for it, and thank you very much, Kip. And we have a whole bunch of lovely sponsors for it, and the overall prize pool for that is 580,000 Linden. Um, we also have a Machinima challenge, and the Machinima challenge that will launch on the 1st of March. The theme is also reflections, and I mean, like, it is meant to be broad and wide ranging. So, how one wants to interpret reflections can be anything. And so we wanted to stagger the start so that art could have a bit of a go first, and then launch Machinima so that those who had submitted art quite early, their artworks could kind of feature in some of the Machinima. Although that's not compulsory. It's not like people who are doing Machinima need to feature these artworks, but there will be one prize for the Machinima that best highlights one of the artworks. And with the Machinima challenge, we're looking like the prize pool should be around 800,000 Linden so far. We've got quite a number of sponsors interested in coming in for that, and that's what it's looking like. We also are having a partnership started with the School of Anatomy and Human Biology at UWA, and in collaboration with the University of Kentucky's Medical School, and we're trying to set up a location where we have models of parts of the human body, like lungs and hearts and brains and things like that. So, okay, well, that's a bit of an opening statement about what's been going on at UWA and what we're planning, and open to the floor, I guess.
I have a question. This is Barbara.
Hey, Barbara.
And some of us are intimidated to compete because we're professional educators, not professional filmmakers. So we feel we're kind of like in a different league. We're wondering if maybe there could even be a category for people who are not filmmakers.
I see, and I hadn't really thought of that. But however, don't kind of set yourself down, because in the very first challenge we launched, we had someone who was making their very first Machinima, and they beat out professionals who'd been making Machinima for a number of years. So, like, and the same goes with art, like some people feel that they're just a beginner, and someone else, though they are a huge name in the art world or in the Machinima world. But I think you'd be very surprised. It's not so much the skill you think you have, but the idea behind your creation that wins people over. So um, uh, put something in. You'll surprise yourself. But that said, you know, I have found 4 educators using other people's machinima. Ones which you select are the greatest tools to reach people who aren't users of Second Life. So, if you're trying to convince your vice chancellor that using the virtual world is a good thing, I found that machinima is the biggest weapon I have. So, selecting a few good machinima and showing them along with a decent presentation has been what I've been doing for the last 4 or 5 years in so many different avenues. Okay, I hope that kind of answers the question.
Yes, though I know that last year I was surprised when I saw the finished projects that they were very, very artistic in how they interpreted the subject matter, and I personally interpreted it very, oh, literally. Like the topic was seek wisdom, so for me, the topic was then how to get people to seek education. And it seemed like I was way off compared to what other people submitted.
Well, the thing is that with Seek Wisdom, I knew that a lot of people were going to view wisdom in many ways. I mean, wisdom is not all about education, but we did have quite a few which were focused in the way that you were focusing on, Barbara. So one of the winners, showed off the life story of a Nobel Prize winner who's at UWA, and how his interest in science grew, right up till he and the sacrifice he made. So we did have a number which were along that path, but we did have a whole range of others as well, which were very artistic. And many of the machinima makers, they love the artistic angle to things. And if I make it very, like the very first UWA challenge, that was very, very specific. And if you look at, I'm not sure, Barbara, if you saw the one by, there's a machinima called Seek by Cisco Van der Veer, which if you want to use to show, just to show someone new to Second Life, as some educators new to Second Life, what can be done, that's a good one to show. That was the winner of the first challenge. And that one, we had the theme was extremely, excruciatingly specific. It was show the teaching, the research, architecture, and arts within the UWA presence in Second Life. And it was Seek by Cisco Van der Veer. And I can go and get a link for that. I'll go to Google now. All right. So
How many of the participants are actually studying film?
Okay, so that's Seek. That's Seek over there. I'm not really sure. That's the answer as to how many are studying film. As to how many pure students there are, it could be maybe 10% or 15% who are students, and the majority of people, I think, are people who some are professional or consider themselves professional machinima makers, and do work in that field, and many of them, it is a love. They love making film. A number of them are teachers, and so that link I just gave is a very, very good link, and that's the winner of the very, very first film challenge at UWA. Another one which is very good for educators is one which is called Click, and it was an honorable mention prize winner to the second art challenge at UWA, and that was created by Associate Professor Laurie Landay of the College of Music, Berkeley. And I use this in every one of the presentations I do in RL. And it's almost an instructional video as to how 3D art works. I'll find that now for you guys.
Click. Good art invites us, and sometimes makes us, see new things, or see what is familiar in new ways. Virtual art does this within the realm of the virtual world, and uses the possibilities there, doing what it cannot or would be difficult to do in the physical world, and engages the viewer and the virtual space, often as an avatar. While still exploring the formal elements of art in creative and innovative ways, elements such as line, shape, value, form, color, space, and texture, virtual art can also be immersive and interactive. The pieces you see here, which were some of the prize winners in a year-long contest sponsored by the University of Western Australia in a virtual world called Second Life, are all clickable. You click, something happens. Inviting you to move within a space, or to plunge into a space that moves around you, to immerse yourself, your point of view, to see and experience. Sometimes when your avatar walks into a space, your presence changes what you see and hear. Sometimes you click and you get a real surprise. Your visual point of view changes, as well as your avatar position and what your avatar is doing. When you click and you affect change, that is having agency in the virtual world. These examples are only one kind of virtual art, along with sculpture, particle art, video or machinima art, installations, and sim-wide environments, all of which use tools from the virtual world to create experiences of art beyond those of the actual world. But when virtual art uses the immersive and interactive possibilities of the virtual environment, it not only offers an aesthetic experience, but it can also demonstrate the great potential of virtual worlds. Click.
Barbara mentioned about the difference between us and the professional machinima makers, about we are professional educators, and of course you mentioned that we shouldn't be worried about that. We should just do our best, but I forgot the different. Are there one category? Maybe you already had answered that in your introduction. How many categories are there, and how is that organized? I know it's a reflection, the theme.
Yeah, reflections. There will be one. See, it is open because we didn't want to specify too many categories at the start. But the thing that that we are having is we are having a special prize for the machinima that best shows reflections at a university. You know, so we did have we do have we will be having that. So someone who wants to make a machinima and showing off how reflections would link to reflections of education, and maybe reflections of 100 years of study at a university. There will be a special prize for the machinima that best reflects that. But that said, we do have some educators who are very good machinima makers. For instance, the person I just linked, Click. I mean, she's one of the best machinima makers there is. And oh, didn't I? Oh, sorry. I don't think I linked that machinima. I'll link it now. So this is Click by Professor Laurie Lande. And that's an amazing machinima. Do save that one. Okay, there we go.
So it's a bit different compared with last year, where there were certain parts of University of Western Australia which should be in the film, sculpture, and so that's the main difference. So it's more. It looked like, or here it's more open.
Well, the thing is that even last year, they didn't have to. I mean, like it was. That's just to make the people I report to happy that they like to see some part of the university. This year, it would be same. I mean, like we give a choice of show one of these three reflective locations of UWA in your machinima. They don't have to be the focus or theme of it. So, the reflection pond at UWA. They'd have to show the reflection pond for a few seconds or something in the machinima somehow, Or the other spaces, there's a space called the Sunken Gardens at UWA, which is a space for reflection, a thoughtful place and space for reflection. So they'd have to show that space of, in their machinima, and they're not going to have to need to make that space like a major a major part of the film or anything like that, but they need to show one of three spaces. I'll give a choice, and as long as people can see it within the machinima, that'll be fine. But when we do run the machinima challenges, kind of if I don't do it, then it would be difficult for me to justify to my vice chancellor and people like that.
I have another question. Well, JJ, maybe you. My name is Jens Nerido, who we have been talking before. It's nice for you to know who's speaking. But I have another question. Now, you had been in this field here with Machinima, organizing a contest here. I believe you said, I think, was it the fifth or sixth time? Sixth time you had been doing this. Is it right? That's it. Sixth time this year here?
Yes, this is the sixth Machinima challenge that UWA is organizing.
So you have been in the field for many years, we could say, and seen the development of Machinima from the beginning, from the hyper period. Actually, I only 2 years old in Second Life, so you have some memory of how it used to be. Could you tell what is the situation? What had developed from during those 6 years? Where are we? Because you have a broad overview of the Machinima things making in the virtual world of Second Life, and could you give us just a bit brief overview of the development?
Well, the development, I've seen the development in that the skills of the people who have been taking part have been increasing over time, as well as the diversity of the way people submit things, and the diversity of places people come from who submit works, the most interesting thing has been UWA's development, in that, like when I started, we had to almost justify our presence, or my presence, there because I was a noob, and Barbara also asked me whether I make and submit films and all that as well. And even up to now, I cannot create art, I cannot create film, I kind of joke a lot that like if I don't fall over when I res a prim, that's a good day for me. I mean, like that's not exactly true, but it's pretty close to it. And I kind of live through the skill of all of you and everyone else. Like I put things together and organize it, but like I cannot create art or film, and I appreciate it. And with UWA as well, gaining that legitimacy over the years has been what's been the important thing. Like when I first started for the first challenge, I had to spend hours and hours with each machinima maker to speak with them and explain to them why it was important for us to run. And now, I feel that we are recognized. I mean, like, and people know that we will be running film challenges. The funding that we've managed to bring in has been increasing over the years. It started out the very first film challenge I started. I had a prize pool of about 10,000 linden. So, and I didn't even know that that was insulting. Actually, it's insulting to run a machinima challenge with 10,000 linden in prizes because it takes 1 minute of film output takes about 15 hours of work. you know. So the other thing that's evolved is my own thinking and my own respect for for filmmakers.
I have many questions. Good, if I could carry on a bit more. Is it all right?
Sure.
Okay, that was a bit of the history. Now, what do you think about the future? Now, okay, that's a big question about virtual life, virtual environments, and so on. But on one side, I'm because you have the experience and have quite been around a lot, a big network. How do you see the development? I mean, the next couple of years, are we going away to other open sims, or is it a stable thing around the machinima community and the community in Second Life? Okay, what is my question is what do you see the future for filmmaking in virtual environments?
The future for filmmaking in virtual environments is only going to grow. Like animation is something that a lot of people want and like, and as the 3D environments within virtual worlds become more accessible and like the clarity of the 3D increases, then more and more people are going to want to make stuff within virtual worlds for things like advertisements and all kinds of other things, and so that will increase. The thing which I'm not sure of is Second Life itself. So Second Life itself, I'm pretty sure will at some point not be around anymore. Perhaps in the next 3, 4, 5 years, that could happen. Virtual world itself, that will keep growing, and I think the importance of virtual worlds as well will keep growing. Like most educators are in Second Life right now over other virtual worlds, but you never know what the Linden Lab might do, However, don't worry when I say that Second Life might not be here in a number of years. The important thing is that that all of you, all of us, we know what we know what Second Life is. We know how to use virtual worlds, and we're all then adaptable to any virtual world. And I'm sure all of us will be in the biggest virtual world that exists at any point in time. So don't worry when I said that it wasn't meant to make anyone worried, and it's not because of any inside knowledge or anything I have. It's just like this is a TV channel, and we were the early days of TV. Not all the early TV channels survived, but TV itself did, and so were virtual worlds.
I have a question about, where could I find? I'm a moderator of this workshop here, and I'm of course very interested in a lot of reference material. Does there at the University of Western Australia do you have a kind of list of the previous years winners, so we can have like an overview? It would be quite interesting to see the development. So do you have like that on your web somewhere?
Yes, like all the prize winners are on our blog somewhere. But you'll have to find them. I can kind of put them for Peonia to send to you. This is our blog. Okay, so that's our blog. When it appears on local chats, it's lagging a bit, so it should appear there. I have seen some other questions. Do I know of any good films on filmmaking for you to watch? I don't know films so much on filmmaking itself, but I know that if you join some of the Machinima groups, they do have they do have classes every now and again on how to how to film and stuff like that. And if you ask within Machinima groups as well for assistance and help, how do I do this, how do I do that, people often come up and say they're more than happy to help. Winshell here said we need to know how to convince our university leaders. Well, the way I have convinced my university leader was, I invited the vice chancellor to be a judge for the first Machinima challenge I had. So, like I told you, I had $50. It was 50 real dollars. It was 10, which was donated by someone in Russia to me, telling me, JayJay, you have to run a film challenge. And I didn't know anything about Machinima, and said, I'm giving you this money, do it. And so I did, and with 10,000 linden, and so we ran the film challenge, and of course, I didn't know that 10,000 linden was an insulting amount to run a Machinima challenge with at the time. But we did have some very good Machinima, including Seek by Cisco Vanderveer, which I linked for you before. And when the judges, which included I invited the Vice Chancellor of UWA, I invited the Director of Marketing, the Director of International Studies, all of them were judges, and it was the first time they were watching Second Life. And once they had finished seeing the film, I told them that, some other people have contributed funds to the UWA Film Challenge, and UWA has contributed nothing. The next day, I had $2,000, 2,000 US dollars in prizes to give to those winners, and I've had a decent amount since then. So the way to convince them is you need a little help from Machinima. It's a very important tool to help break the real-life Second Life barrier.
JayJay, Alfonso has a question. Alfonso, if you have the mic, you can use the mic now and ask your question. Also on the chat you have a link to a post that Heike wrote last year about the winners of the Wisdom contest, and there you have the best machinimas and the winners, of course. So, Carol, you were asking if he could tell us some good about some good machinima. Well, there's the link. You can find the great machinimas there to watch. I already I'm going to share one link that of a machinima that I really like, and if you want to watch it later, it'd be nice. Now, Alfonso, if you have a mic, JJ.
You. I don't know if you hear me well. Do you hear me well? Okay.
Yes, Alfonso.
My question
Yes.
is more about the cost. How it could be cost good effect for the institutes to invest in Machinima. In other words, how could you introduce a very good cost studio so you can get the investments from the institution for your projects?
See, with cost, the institutions are not going to kind of make a profit or make money with, if they donate $1,000, 2,000, 3, 4, $5,000, they aren't going to kind of, or institutions aren't really looking for, return on investment in terms of financial return. What what they're looking for is name, and for UWA was not known for innovation before. UWA was seen as a very strong university, and because of our involvement in Second Life and 3D art and film and stuff like that, we did start to get a lot of publicity showing off UWA as an innovative place, and so that has been the return to UWA in real life, so to speak, and that's also the reason why I normally always ask for some part of the university to be shown with the film and stuff like that we do, as a way for me to return something to the university as well, because people like to see the familiar. People who aren't in Second Life, people in Second Life hate to see real life sometimes. You love to see the out of this world, but for people who don't know Second Life, they need the familiar in order to pull you into the world of the unfamiliar. See, it's like it's like a finger pointing to the moon. The things which you see in real life, which are replicas, and we need to put these real life things in the machinima. Right? These are fingers pointing to the moon. When a mother shows their child, look, there's the moon. She points to the moon with her finger, and the child first looks at the finger, and then looks the finger pointing somewhere, and then looks at the moon, and then knows where to look at the moon. And that's the reason for the real life thing. But later on, as the child grows up, they don't need that finger anymore. You see? So, so that's why that's what I think. For an institution, they need the child stops looking at the finger after a while. It's important to have the main or one thing in a university which students and staff of the university can connect to on a personal level. And once they're able to make that connection, then you can introduce them to the other concepts. I never ever take anyone who I'm doing a presentation for the first time in real life, who is familiar with UW. I never take them anywhere else except the UW main building at first, and then I take them to see some artwork and things like that. But I always bring them to the unfamiliar through the familiar. With universities, the thing that is most useful to them is international collaboration and being able to publish journals and for researchers to work together. And I've been lucky enough to link and write papers with people from University of Kentucky, with people from University of Rochester, and these types of things are what's most useful to educators.
Yeah. I can tell experience about showing my students the work at UWA. Uh, Last year I taught a group from graphic design school, so I took them to one of the exhibitions, and it was really good for them, so they get a good chance to look at how 3D works, and they're used to 2D designs, and when they came to the exhibition at the university, it was great for them. Then they built a few things, and we got an exhibition in our land. But that was thanks to what JJ and the university has been doing. Because if we hadn't had that, they shouldn't they could I couldn't have explain things to them in the same in a way that they will understand, because they are graphic designers and just a language educator. So Machinima and 3D worlds are a way to show uh, students, on their fields of expertise, the reality, like JJ was talking about. That's my experience with that. That's why I was so impressed with the work with the university, and that's why I thought JJ could share so many things with us. Now, Barbara has another question. She was asking about um, software. Have you? I was late, so maybe you said that before. Have What kind of software do you use to make machinimas, if you have made machinimas, or what is, in your experience, are the people that have participated in the contest, what they have told you about the best software for machinima making?
Well, like I'm not an expert in the technical aspects of making machinima. I know many people use free software like Fraps to capture um, to capture footage within Second Life, and there are a number of free video editing tools which are available, and they are any number which you pay a little bit for as well, and some you pay a lot for. Um, I mean, like my 13-year-old son has been using some free video editing software. I can't recall what it's called. But yeah, so like if you, Rahul, what's the video editing software called? Well, Blender and Adobe After Effects. So, yeah, but if you are interested in film in machinima making, no, I mean like there are some which are free. Winchell. My son was using the free trial of Adobe After Effects to do it.
Can you write down the name of the software on the chat, please? Okay.
Well, I mean, like those might not be the best things to use. I mean, like I really don't know. And you would need to ask people who create machinima, um, and they would know. I mean, like Freewheeling, who's in the audience here, she might be able to tell you. And I mean, Freewee, who's in the audience, is the curator of arts at UWA, and she's extremely experienced in terms of 3D art creation. With Machinima, she dabbles, I believe, although I haven't seen a Machinima created by her. But yeah, do join some of the Machinima groups, right? And if you ask for help in there, I've always found that people who use the virtual world are very giving of their time, so much, far more than RL. If you ask for help, someone's not going to sit down for 2 hours and help you, but someone in Second Life will. Yeah.
Um, could I speak up, Pionia? Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Hey, JayJay. With your experience of the Machinima standard and making around also other competition around the Machinima community or Second Life, have you seen some of the things being done, and could you say something about the OpenSims, other kind of virtual environment? How are the communities there? Have you any knowledge about that area?
Many artists who used to be in Second Life and who used to be with the art groups that I was in moved to a grid called InWorlds, simply because of cost and not only monetary but prim cost as well. So InWorld sims, I believe, cost a tenth of what a sim costs within Second Life, though we had a big exodus of artists into the InWorlds 3D virtual world, INWORLDZ. Somebody has their mic on. Could you switch it off? There's feedback coming through. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I mean, like they're all, but with OpenSim, I don't have much experience. See, the thing is that and people have told me I should explore other virtual worlds as well, but I just don't have the time to do that, and I don't have the time to have a proper presence in different virtual worlds. So I need to choose one and do the best I can in that virtual world. And right now, there are lots of educators in Second Life still. And UWA will remain in the virtual world, which has the most number of educators. The Australian Virtual Worlds Working Group, which is very active, are all in Second Life, 40 or 50 Australian and New Zealand institutions, and we meet every fortnight in the virtual world. Many of those educators focus on journal papers and collaboration and things like that. So I'll probably keep focusing on the virtual world, which has the most number of educators.
Could I make a small comment to that? It's a very interesting point you're making, JayJay. Is it right to make a comment?
Sure.
Yeah, JayJay, maybe I come from Denmark, and the virtual life using a virtual environment are not very common. It's like a desert. So, well, I don't know why it's like that. So it's very much uphill. Well, my question is that how did you create that that community, that it's used and accepted at your university? Because in Denmark it's not common. It's not it's not used at all.
It's not common. I mean, I think nothing is ever really common anywhere. So for a university perspective, right? Look at what your colleagues are doing. There's someone who is researching they are researching physics particles in such and such. How many other people of the 3,000 in that university are in that field? Of 4 or 5 people, and their network is other people around the world who are interested in the same thing. And um, and so I think in every education institution you will find that the specific thing that one or two researchers is doing, not very many other people in that university are doing it. So at UWA as well, and anywhere else, not a lot of people are using Second Life or using virtual environments, but some are. And like through Machinima and things like that, we just kind of try and bring it to a bigger audience. So some other questions on which are related. Barbara asked how common is Second Life in UWA. The business school has run classes, and Barbara Novelli and yes, and two of the units, one in second year, one a master's by coursework, was run completely through the virtual world, where students were asked to investigate buyer behavior in Europe versus buyer behavior in Asia, and so the students were speaking to avatars who they came from Europe, and those who were from Asia, and doing kind of international marketing classes through that. We have Freewee is helping to set up the anatomy and human biology building, and we just had a meeting with some educators from the University of Kentucky, and we are going to collaborate with them to create a space for teaching of anatomy at UWA, where there's a professor interested in having some aspects of his course use the virtual world. We have psychology departments using Second Life. So like when the psychology department uses Second Life, not every single person in psychology is using it. There's one or two people, one PhD student who is doing a psychology PhD on perceptions. So of people as to age and physical appearance being the same in the virtual as it is in the real. So they used an avatar of a very young, good-looking girl, and they went around the virtual world and they recorded the interactions they had with people and how people reacted to them. And then they used a very old, ugly-looking avatar and went to the same spaces and then recorded the interactions and how people reacted to them. So there's nursing schools who use Second Life now within the Australian Virtual Worlds Working Group, where they have their tutorial in Second Life. So they build a tutorial room and they put all the equipment for nursing, and the students, before they enter the actual lab for the first time, they need to do the tutorial and identify the equipment and where they need to go after being used, and then they do that, and then they can go into the real class. So many different people use it for different things. In every university, it is one or two or three academics who are using Second Life for various things on their own. So some of their students use it, and not many other people else in that university. It's the same with every other research area in universities. There are thousands of research areas. Each academic, in my experience, feel that they're struggling themselves in that university to promote that area. And some are lucky working in larger teams, but many are working with one or two or three people in the university and linking to other universities elsewhere to gain their international collaborations and larger mass. I'm personally not an educator as such. I'm the manager of the School of Physics at UWA, so that's my official title. But I have started a PhD through publication, and so one of the things I am going to be starting a paper on is how the virtual world has researchers connect to other researchers. So I will be distributing in a few months a survey question asking people whether Second Life has helped you as an educator link to other educators outside of your country, outside of your university, which you wouldn't have been able to connect with if you hadn't used the virtual world. So that's something I'm planning to write about. Winchell, I haven't heard of that exploratorium. Oh, okay, then it would be good for me to connect with them. So there's a lot within Second Life that we don't know and I don't know, and it's hard to get the best connections always. Barbara, the that if you do a Google search for VWWG, you will you'll find the Virtual Worlds Working Group sites and links. It's typically an Australian Virtual Worlds Working Group thing, but if any educators wanted to come in from somewhere else to see how the meetings are being run, I'm sure they'd welcome it. VWWG, Barbara, Virtual Worlds Working Group. So it's led by someone from the University of New England in Australia. It's weird that the University of New England is not in England, but yeah, it's in Australia. And so some educators over there lead it, and we've had some big successes with research papers being published jointly by 27 education institutions, and those are available on the web. I have links to them. Winchell, it's hard to say how it's growing. It's reached a stage where at UWA that it's stable and accepted as something that happened at UWA. So I often get invited to every month. There'd be 2 or 3 student groups who are primary, secondary school students who are visiting UWA in general, and the prospective student office will invite me to give a talk to them, and then I give a talk. So, and groups within UWA all the time ask me to do talks for them as well. Sometimes just as a thing of interest, So it's reached a stable. It's reached a point where it's stable, I believe. Growing, it's hard to say. Am I one of the judges? I always put myself on the judging panel. Yes. However, I try not to impact the outcome greatly by my own choices. What criteria are the judges using? Well, we 20 plus judges on the judging panel, and even with the judging panel, it is a strategy that I use to kind of bring it to the widest audience, and like it's in a way semi-political as well, how the judging panel is formed. With UW initially I had the vice chancellor, the marketing director, etc., and it was to actually get them familiar with virtual worlds was why I invited them to be on the judging panel. Right now on the judging panel, you'll see, if you go look at the list of the judges on the UW blog right now, maybe we could just put a link to the art challenge blog post that we had. You'd see the judges there. You'd see many of them are people in the media. They are writers. They're linked to TV studios, film studios and stuff like that. And that, in a way kind of ensures coverage for it, because then I don't need to, like the content is already there. The artist or the writer is going to be doing this, is going to be judging, and is going to be forced to watch the film and forced to look at the artwork, so to speak. And I'm sure as writers, stories will pop in their minds as to what to write about, and they decide on their gut, because I know, but for me to set specific criteria is hard. So like as long as they have, they fit within the guidelines, it qualifies to be in. But then how they judge it, because art and film is so subjective. I don't want to put, such specific criteria. I let everyone judge it and provide the top 10, in terms of how best it captured them. As long as it captured them as a viewer and a judge, then you know that's fine. And the way the top 10 comes together is every single judge provides a top 10 of their own, and then the actual results are determined by combining all of these results. So no one single judge will have a major influence on the outcome. Every single judge has an equal chance at determining the outcome, because we put we put the top tens of all the judges together in determining the winner.
Well, are there any more questions? I think it's about time to wrap up. And once more, JJ, if the educators here want to participate in the next Machinima context, what do they have to do in a short thing,
All right. Well, if anyone wants to take part in Machinima events, just contact me for the moment, and pay attention to the UWA blog. The challenge for Machinima itself has not launched. See, like we had, if you click on the link which Pioneer just linked for the 3D art challenge, we make reference to Machinima, which will be launched on the 1st of March. If you have any other questions, you can ask me anytime. Not a problem at all, and I'd be more than happy to talk to you or discuss with you any concerns that you have. I'm more than happy anytime. If you have questions about art, I'm sure Freebie would be more than happy to field those questions. And I want to thank Pioneer for inviting me here. So, working with Pioneer has been one of the ways, that I feel that I've managed to collaborate with another university in Second Life, and I'm so happy that she brings her students to UWA, and that's something I proudly speak of when I'm doing presentations. That students from Pioneer University have come to UWA. They've used this space as a space for their students to link to the artists who have created the artworks, and then they've written papers on the projects they've run. So all that is very valuable to me.
Yeah, my students were really impressed, and they wrote on their blogs about what they lived there, and it was really interesting for them. They were, looking at the way they work now, like there's something missing, because I can't believe that at the graphic design school in my university they are not, interested too much into 3D, but 2D. Everything is about printing and. But I think it's in Second Life they have a lot of opportunity for that too. There are a lot of things that they can do here that can be 2D and 3D enhanced by they were most impressed about the possibilities of 3D with the way that you can interact with the pieces that were exposed at the exhibition. So thank you, JJ. Now, I think it is time for us to finish, and people is asking for a group photo. So if you want to join us here and get close to JJ so you can take a picture with him, he can give you the autographs later. If you behave. Thank you very much, my dear. It was really nice. Thank you for your time. Also, want to be in the photo, please come back. Come here and get close. I dare to do it here because this is like a family, and what I like the most about working and with this community of educators is that we are willing to try things. There's always you feel confident because you have the support of the others. Like I think it's the same with JJ. He's doing this kind of thing because I think we are all, you know, we have the same spirit. Finish. So I'm going to clap. Great, great.
Thank you, everybody.
Besitos, besitos.